the way I see things today is completely, my entire perception of everything has changed.
I totally can relate to that.
That's amazing.
We
Yeah.
get the things that we get upset about are so ridiculous. And granted, there's tragedies and things like that that take a long time to work out.
Sure.
But these little things like road rage and you didn't get the right thing you ordered or something like, I mean, that's just so ridiculous to me. Like I can't even wrap my head around those things anymore. And even losing the car. So the insurance company buys me a new one. So what? You know what I mean? Like just, and that's the way I approach life now. And I don't let anything bother me. I don't let anybody else's stuff bring me out of my state of flow because I don't care enough about it, you know? So it's just a different way of being. And this is what I try to teach in my coaching practice today is how to adopt detachment, how to understand surrender, how to understand these techniques. They don't make you less powerful. They make you more powerful. When you don't care, you can't be bothered. It can't happen. So yeah, there's still going to be big things. Like I said, there's going to be big things. There's going to be grief. There's going to be loss and things of that nature. And yeah, they are going to require attention to get over. But the more you understand that death isn't really the end and there's more to it, the less it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
You know, and the more accepting you can be to the world around you.
Alrighty, hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. We have a very special guest lined up for you today, and I am stoked to get started. So without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Hey, Cosmic Thrill Seekers, I'm Justin, and this is Living Life Consciously, where we explore the extraordinary, ride the waves of inspiration, and embark on an adventure of limitless curiosity together.
And I'm Leslie, also known as Light Being Love, an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. And I'm happy to be here now.
Awesome. Ray, can you say a quick hello?
Sure. I want to say hello to everybody, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Can't wait for our audience to dive into your situation. But before we do that, for the audience at home, join us as we delve deep into the cosmic tapestry woven by this acclaimed author, metaphysical teacher, and certified life coach. Get ready to embark on an electrifying journey with Ray Catania, a beacon of wisdom in the realms of metaphysics, spirituality, and personal transformation. From surviving a near-death experience to delving into the depths of metaphysical-parapsychology, Ray fearlessly navigates the realms of science and spirituality. Discover the transformative power of Ray's award-winning Awakening series featuring mind-bending titles like The Atheist and The Afterlife, and You Are Still Alive, Now Act Like It. Explore the profound insights and intuitive prowess that make Ray a sought-after practitioner of transpersonal psychotherapy and a luminary in the field of metaphysics. Uncover the fascinating research of the Human Anatomy Project, where Ray explores the intricate dance between human energy and biological tissues. As an ordained minister, Usui Reiki practitioner, and certified meditation instructor, Ray seamlessly blends ancient wisdom with modern science to guide others towards inner peace and self-empowerment. Ray, thank you so much. Is there anywhere specific you would like to start?
Who wrote that? Because that's phenomenal. Who is that guy? I want to meet him. Wow. Thank you.
You're very welcome. If you don't know where to start, I'll start with a question if that's cool.
Please do.
All right, awesome. So Ray, your journey from skeptic to sage is truly remarkable. Can you share with us the pivotal moment you realized there was more to life than meets the eye?
Well, there were several actually, but if I had to choose one that was one of the largest, I would say it was likely the NDE that I had around the age of 20. And it was a time when I was still living at home. I was with my parents when I say home, and wasn't quite thrown out of the house yet. Um, my bedroom was on the second floor, and it was right above the kitchen and the kitchen stove. And the stove had a gas leak, and nobody really recognized it or knew. And I guess it was getting worse all night while I was sleeping right above it, and it
Oh,
ran
crap.
on natural gas, so the gas was rising and coming up
Mm,
into my room, and I was breathing it in. And in the morning, I guess, my mother woke up and just turned on the stove, and there was like this big ball of flames, and
Poof.
it went out pretty quickly. Yeah, the wall caught fire, and I think there was some smoke, but it was put out with an extinguisher by my father. It wasn't really a big deal. But it
Okay.
wasn't the smoke or the fire, it was the
The
gas that
gas. Yeah.
ultimately did me in, so to speak, right? So
mhm.
I hear the fire trucks, and I hear the police, and I hear all this commotion, and I try to get out of bed, and I can't really like lift myself up because all of a sudden I feel like certain parts of my body just weigh me down. Like
Oh,
my
wow.
legs are like 1,000 pounds each, and my
Oh,
head,
wow.
I can't get it off excuse me, off the pillow. And the parts that did work were my arms. And what I would do is I was trying to pull myself to the edge of the bed. And as I would do it, I would pass out, and then I would wake up because I would hear them downstairs again. And I would pull myself a little bit more and a little bit more. And, finally it took a while. And I was like, if I don't get out of this bed, I'm going to die. Like I just kind of knew that was going to be the case. And no one's really coming upstairs to even look on me or anything. So I'm like, I got to get out of here. And I'm pulling and pulling and pulling. Finally, I tumble out of the bed and I hit the floor. And I remember hitting it face first. I mean, there was no mistaking that. I hit it face first. But what was really strange is there was no pain after I hit it.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is because I at that moment, I guess like a millisecond before the pain sets in, I'm out of the body, and
Oh,
I'm not in it anymore. I'm in the corner of the room, and the room is a perfect square. And so my energy or my consciousness, spirit, soul, whichever term you wish to use, is now in the corner of the room, looking down on my lifeless body. And you would think that this is scary, but it's not. It's actually like the greatest feeling I've ever had in my entire life. And I've
really?
done a lot
Okay.
of drugs, and this is the best. Um,
I love you for saying that. That's so funny.
and the adjacent for me is this cone shaped white light, and it's a tunnel, and it is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm like one with the light, so the light and me are completely commingled. My energy and the light's energy are one and the same. And this doesn't, again, I'm not really scared. I'm not frightened. It feels euphoric. It feels painless. There's just so many adjectives that are amazing to describe this light and this feeling that I'm
Okay.
having in this moment. And at the end of the tunnel, so I want to go into the tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel is a being who says, Ray, it's okay to come into the light, or it's okay to come into the light, Ray, something like that. And I was like, ooh, it knows my name. And I have no idea, who that is or what that may be. And only to a degree do I now. I still don't really know completely, but I start to go towards it, and I start to go into the tunnel. And as I go through the lighted tunnel, but the euphoria increases, if that's possible.
Wow.
So it's getting better and better as I'm moving forward and forward, right?
Okay.
Now, in that moment, my father comes through and kicks open the door. And he's just, comes in, picks me up, um, grabs me from the floor, and he starts yelling for the paramedics, and he's crying and he's distraught, and he's, my son, and he's showing a
Oh,
lot of emotion. Now, my father, and I didn't have a particularly good relationship.
okay.
Not really one where he would hug me at all. And in fact, now I'm dead, and I'm, kind of receiving that attention, that love that I didn't really get.
Oh, wow.
So I I asked if I could go back. That was the reason I asked if I could go back. And I don't know. I never heard a yes or a no or a maybe or
Mhm.
anything else for that matter. The next thing I know is I'm awake, and I'm not in that room anymore. I'm on the living room floor. And I wake up, I'm on flat on my back, and the paramedics are on top of me with all their tools doing their thing. And I wake up and I'm still feeling euphoric.
You got
So it's kind of,
residual happiness left over
oh my
still,
God,
right?
yes. And I'm like, guys, get off me. Why are you touching me? What are you doing here? You know, like
Uh-huh.
they stop touching me.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you doing? And I was like, I feel great. I feel fine. And they're like, listen, you are not fine, kid. So just lay there and we're going to bring up the truck and you're going in. And I'm going into what? What am I going in? You know? So the truck means ambulance and I'm going into the hospital, but you know,
Right.
I'm just hearing them talk back and forth.
I'm
He's
surprised
got
they
no
didn't call it the bus. Sorry, go ahead.
the bus, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's what happened. So
Okay.
then I say, well, did you see the light? Did you hear the voice? And now, you know, all of a sudden it's turning into a bus, right? Because now they're like, wait a minute, this kid's really
Mm.
messed up or something's wrong with him, right? But I immediately shut that down. I don't say it again because I can see that all of a sudden everybody started to change in the room. And it was, you know, was he crazy? Was he on drugs?
Mm.
What's going on?
Right.
And, you know, prior to this, like before in my youth, I was able to see energy. I would meditate for hours, but I didn't know I was meditating because I was just a kid. And what I was trying to do is really just escape my own reality.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The house I lived in was pretty tumultuous. It wasn't a great place to grow up or live.
Mm.
And I would hide, and we didn't have phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't have anything at all. So basically, it was just me staring at a wall, hiding in the basement or in the yard, and just imagining I'm someplace else.
Mm.
Well, you know, and there's trauma all around me, right? Trauma,
Sure. I was just
And
thinking that. I was
I'm
like,
five,
I was just
6,
sitting here
7.
thinking like that's a total dissociative reaction to a
Right.
traumatic environment.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you try to disassociate and you realize you can. Your mind is detachable. It actually can disassociate. You can leave your body.
Mm.
And so I started to push through the veil. So I always had this thing, if you will, with energy. Like I could see it. I could stare at a wall long enough and I could start to see, and I could see it in the air and I could see things floating. I just thought everybody could do this. I didn't think this was a big deal.
Okay.
Okay. But now when I try to tell anybody that, I'm crazy. You're absolutely crazy. That didn't happen.
Sure.
And when I had my NDE, I went to my mother. You're crazy. That did not happen. Don't tell anybody. They're going to lock you up. You're absolutely out of your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
Hashtag
always,
stigma.
yeah, right. So it's always suppressed, always pushed down. And I'm starting to believe, okay, there's something wrong with me. I better not discuss this ever again. And I put it away. Even as beautiful as this was, I still had to find a way to justify it and get it off my mind because I was trying to figure out what was that. Right.
Right.
And I don't have a computer. They're not invented yet. So I can't just go to my desk and type in NDE or near death or, you know, what the hell happened to me? Anything, nothing. So I'm stuck with this. And basically the way I justified it analytically was I fell in front of a window on what was likely a sunny day. The sun was the white light that I thought I saw. And the voice and everything else was hallucinations from inhaling gas fumes all night long. That's it.
So you tried to rationalize it.
Rationalize it. Yeah. Because my parents were Catholic and that was the religion and that was that. And it, you know, it was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't particularly take to that or like it. So I rebelled by going the other direction and decided I was going to be an atheist. Right?
Okay.
Even before I even know what that really is. I'm just rebelling, basically.
Gotcha.
But I'm not believing in what they're telling me. And I know, you know, they're constantly telling me I'm crazy. So the bottom line here is I'm going to believe in absolutely nothing. I don't really care. You know, in the back of my mind, I know I kind of died, right? I kind of have this gut feeling that I really do know what I saw and where I was.
Yeah.
And so what this does is you take a kid who's grows up from chaos and chaos was my comfort zone, right? It's where I thrived. It's all I knew.
Sure.
So now I'm going into my 20s. I'm not afraid to die. I really don't care if I do. And I'm coming from a place of chaos. So if there's no chaos wherever I am, I'm the lighter. I'm going to light the fire. I'm going to gaslight this place. I'm the trouble.
Okay. You're the kerosene.
Okay. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. Right. You don't have enough chaos. I'll bring it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Because I know I'm comfortable navigating that sort of thing.
I understand
What I'm
that.
not comfortable with is relaxation and love and being
Because it's
touched and
so
held.
foreign to you. You're not used to it. You
I have
never
no idea.
experienced that, so that to you, that's foreign.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Gotcha.
right. So if things aren't dysfunctional, I don't know what that is. Right. So now, at this point in my life, I start to put myself in really bad places. I work for some shady characters. I am involved in a lot of times where I should be dead. And every time there's this point where whatever the it is, wherever I'm in, and I could technically die, there's that being that was there the day of the NDE who tells me how to get out of the situation.
Really?
One time, I'm in a nightclub. We're after hours. I'm leaving. I'm just like throwing some glasses behind the bar. I go behind the bar. Somebody asks me for a drink. I go to get the bottle. I hear pop, 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 pop. I know what that is. It's not firecrackers, right? So I'm trying to hold it together and figure out how am I going to get out of here? Because once I don't think they realize I'm down here, but once I get up, everybody knows I'm there.
Yeah.
So how do I get out? What do I do? The being says side door, side door, side door. And I'm looking down. I got to get up and go that way to get to the side door. And I'm thinking I'm not going to make that. That's just too far.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of my options and I have no options. So I go with what I'm being told. And I'm just like, it's not like you're not hearing this information. None of the 5 physical senses that I'm referring to am I really using. It's all in here. It's like a download. Okay.
I'm
It's
glad
not
you clarified that.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I was hearing and seeing, then I'm schizophrenic and you really can put me away. Okay. So now I run to the side door and I open it up and I start running down the hall because there's another hallway. I got to go all the way down. And then I go out another side door and I'm out in the parking lot. And I parked my car right there. I've never parked my car there in like 7 years that I was there. And I parked it there that night, that day, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm,
And and that's how I got out of there. And there's just so many other examples of times when, and I wrote a lot of these in the book where I just technically shouldn't be here anymore. And I can't, I don't know if it's a male or a female, that being, that energy has always been there for me.
It's cool that you recognize it and listen to it.
Yeah. I can't remember. I think the first time I was 10 years old and I nearly drowned and I was in the ocean and the undertow kept pulling me back and I couldn't get back to shore.
Mm-hmm.
And what was happening is that every time I would try to swim, if you try to swim forward, the undertow just takes you back and you wind up going nowhere. You're just in a standstill. And there were a group of kids like on the other side. There was like 10 kids that needed help. And the lifeguards were really focused over there. And I was the only one on this side. So no one was really seeing me or paying attention. And I started to go down.
Okay.
And in that moment, I heard, felt, saw, however you want to express it, calm down, swim sideways, take all the time you need.
Okay.
Calm down, swim sideways, take all the time you need. And
such reassurance and guidance. Wow.
I can't calm myself down because I'm 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's done for me. And all of a sudden my heart just stops beating rapidly and a feeling of calmness overtakes my whole body. I could like feel it a little bit right now. And I start to swim this way on an angle. And eventually it takes a long time, or it feels like it takes a long time. I don't know how long it really took.
Mm-hmm.
And I eventually get to shore and I just collapse. And then a bunch of people came around and said, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" Which freaked me out even more. And then I tried to get up and run away, but I have no breath and I'm falling down and getting up, falling down and getting up. And I'm, completely traumatized to say the least. But I get out of this situation again. And it's thanks to, I'm going to say him for lack of a better word.
Okay. Wow. I'm just sitting here.
That's the first time you heard from your spirit guide would be when you were 10?
I think so. I don't
And I was wondering, like, your mediumship, like, abilities or gifts, do you think they came from the near-death experiences? It sounds like you've had multiple that wasn't really a near-death experience, but, so yeah, it seems like you had these abilities, but prior to your experience.
Well, I don't see energy as in human form yet. that takes many, many years. So I'll tell you, the next part of what I go through is when I move into my own place. And now I'm early 20s. It's post NDE.
Right.
And what I interpret is it feels like the house is haunted, but I don't see anyone. I don't recognize it as being that. I just see lines going across the room, across the wall. I see the swirlies in my eye. I feel pressure. Like there's
Hmm.
other people in the room, but there's nobody there. But I'm not seeing anything that leads me to believe these are dead people. They don't look like dead people. They just feel like energy right now.
Okay.
That'll change, but that's the way it is right at this point in my life. And so, and nothing in the apartment works, right? From the alarm system to the electrical appliances, the phone goes on and off. I must have called the maintenance guy 100 times, and he comes and he goes, listen to me, kid. There's nothing wrong with your place. Don't call me again. You're crazy.
Ugh.
So here I'm crazy again, right? I'm starting
Here's
to
another
believe,
person that's telling you this, right?
right? It's
Mhm.
just, it's the constant of my whole life. You're crazy. So I'm not going to tell anybody. And I remember one time I was on the phone and I was telling my friend, and I said this completely in jest. I was kidding around. I was like, hey man, I think my house is haunted. Click. And and this is a landline, right? And I call him back and I say, hey, why'd you hang up on me? He goes, I didn't hang up on you. You hung up on me. I said, no, you hung
Uh-oh.
up on me. And right now, click, there it goes again. And I'm like,
The
okay,
ghost in the house
so
is like, recognition.
right. And I'm like, do you understand? I don't believe in you. You're not real. I'm an atheist. Get the hell out of my house.
Yeah.
You're not real.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to convince myself that this is simply not possible. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
And I move into another place. I leave that place early and I move into another one. And I think it's going to be a clean slate, right? No. Same thing, different house. It's not the house that's haunted. It's Ray
It's
that's
you.
haunted.
It's you.
Wherever
Yeah.
I go, these guys are coming with me.
Okay.
So, but I, in this period of my life, I can't turn this off. So I turn to alcohol and drugs to do it for me because it's the only way I
Okay.
can sleep.
It's honestly a typical reaction, really, to numb it.
Look, I'm crazy anyway, right? And I don't really, it doesn't really matter if I live or die. I'm just going back to the light, not really a big deal. So what the hell, let's party. And I really, really took it to a level that was ridiculous, but it was really for sleeping. That's how it started because
Okay.
I would be up all night. Like
Right. Oh.
they were just so constant in their ability to rattle my cage. They could vibrate my insides.
Mhm.
And it was just, it's so disturbing. And you feel like you're being looked at and you feel like there's something on the wall and you look really quick and there's like a whoosh, and it's gone.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's just this over and over and over and everybody telling me I'm crazy. So I'm like, I remember I went to a drug dealer and I bought 100 roofies and the guy's like,
Oh my
are you,
God.
are you Bill Cosby? And I'm like, no. I wind up with the drug dealer who's got like a conscience, right?
Oh my
He doesn't
God.
want to sell. I'm like, dude, they're for me to sleep. I swear to God.
I'm roofieing myself,
he's
guy.
like,
I don't have an agenda.
I roofie myself. That's it. I'm only interested in getting some damn rest.
That's wild.
So, so yeah, I mean, that's what we used to sleep. That's what I did. And it was absolutely insane. And then, so when I get married the first time, I'm about 30 or early 30s, and I get married and I have 2 kids.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
I have a reason for living. Okay.
Oh.
These are the kids. This is the reason.
Okay.
Right. So everything shifts.
Monumental shift. I
Everything
was just
changes.
thinking that term in my head and you said it.
They need me. So I have to go to rehab. I check myself in. I have to
Okay.
go back to college. I have to get a real job. And I do. And I do
Wow.
very well. And I work myself up the ladder. And then I do it again a second time. And I do it again.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lost count of the years, but it's about 15 or so that I've been sober, and I don't touch anything. And I'm very happy that I made that choice. And
Yeah.
my kids are my life right now, and the marriage falls apart quickly, but the kids are everything to me, and I want to give them a life not like the one that I had, but something that's considerably better. You know, I want to be a father who listens. I want to be a father who's part of their lives. I want to be a father who tells them I love them. I never let them leave without me telling them that, you know. Um,
That's so
so
important, honestly.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think it is anyway. I think it made a huge difference. Not
Absolutely.
to, I'm not the perfect father, but I think that I know that I was better, you know,
You did
so
better than what you received, so that's an improvement. That's nice.
exactly what I tried to do. Yeah. So anyway, the marriage falls apart and I date a little bit on and off, but it's nothing that's considerably serious. It's just like, you know, a little bit of dating. And then as time goes by, the reason is because I don't want to bring a strange woman into their lives. I have two sons and I don't want them to be negatively affected by, you know, they're not going to adjust to just a new woman. Right.
Sure.
So I wait. And when they're older and they're late teens and about to go to college, I decide I'm going to date seriously and settle down.
Okay.
And I go online and I go to some of those websites that no one ever goes to, right? To find a date. And I was going through like the different sites and they give you like a couple of examples of women that live in your area to entice you to get you to join, right?
Sure.
So one of the sites I looked at, she was the third one down. I never forget it. She was the third one down, and I saw her picture, and I said, "That's her." Like I knew her. I felt
Really?
like I knew her. Yeah,
Instant recognition. That's like a soul
instant,
contract situation.
right? And I said,
Okay.
"That is my wife,"
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
and I
That's
have to
exactly.
tell
I
her
know.
this. So I joined the site and I'm writing this email and I must have rewritten it 50 times. I actually copied and pasted it. It's in the first book. And whatever I said was, you know, funnier than the way I'm about to say it, but it was more or less like, hi, I know you don't know me. My name is Ray. I just want to tell you you're my wife. You don't know this yet, but if you have dinner with me, I can explain everything.
Oh my gosh.
So
What an opener.
LOL, you're crazy. I said, I know.
I've been hearing it forever. I'm aware.
But do you want to have dinner? Yeah. Okay. So we are married. We are here today. And
Oh,
we are still together. There's no
That's
question.
amazing.
She's my soulmate.
Aw.
Amazing. That's
And
amazing.
here's really how I know why. So when we're first dating in the beginning, this is where I start to actually see things differently. So I meet her, and what happens is it's the first time ever that what I call the movie screen opens up in my mind. And
Oh.
on the movie screen is a person who's speaking to me. And this is the first time I see energy in a human form. And that's
Okay.
how it speaks to me. And he says, I effed up. I made a mistake. You can help her. I cannot. And I was like, wait,
Oh.
what just happened? What was that? You know, like he was like right here, right? Big guy, beard, mustache, thick black hair, right? Like you, Justin. Actually. And you look like him. And he was like right in my face. He's like, I effed up. I made a mistake. You can help her. I cannot. I have no idea who this man is. And I
Wow.
have no idea what he's talking about.
Okay.
And this is a Friday and I'm at work. And so I decide that I'm going to go home and just like get some rest. I'm getting a headache. It's killing me. And I do that. And the next day, there he is again. The window, the movie screen pops up. There he is from the second I get out of bed. And it's like every hour on the hour, he's back and he says the same thing
So he's being
over and
persistent.
over. To say, you have no idea. By Sunday, it's like every 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's real persistent.
Wow.
So this message is like important, but I don't even know that it's a message yet. I don't know what this is. I just
Okay.
want to make it stop.
Yeah.
And I can't drive. I can't function. I can't have a conversation with anybody. I really am crazy. That's the way I see this right now.
Okay.
And the breaking point for me was I was in the store and I was paying for my stuff. I don't know what I said or did to this day, but the lady behind the counter goes, "Are you okay, sir?" And I said, "No,
You're like not in the least.
no."
Oh, God.
Okay.
And I took my credit card back and I went back to the car and I just put my head down and I was like, what the, how could you do this to me? Like, I worked so hard. I went to rehab. I went back to college. I did everything I was supposed to do. I got out of the
Mm,
crazy life. I got out of the crazy world. And now I'm insane. Now I
mm.
have to deal with this. Like it finally happened. That's what I'm thinking. It finally happened. I broke. My
Okay.
brain broke. I'm officially insane. And I have to figure out how am I going to provide for my kids when I'm dead because my days of cognitive reasoning are going to be limited. And so
Gotcha.
I call my brother who I know has my will, my DNR and everything else. And I go through it with him. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I just want to make sure you have everything. I don't want to get into it. So I'm making sure that my kids are going to be taken care of. This is literally where my head is at
Wow.
in this moment. So now I'm at a point where I have to tell this woman that I love that clinically insane and let her find somebody else so that she can move on with her life. And to make this story crazier than what it already is, she is by trade a doctor of psychology and neuropsychology.
Wow.
That's what she does for a living.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell a doctor of psychology. I see people that aren't really there, and this is going to go over great. So the way
Sorry.
That's gonna be
funny.
wonderful.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's funny. It's
just the way you said it was really
Yeah.
funny. It was like super sarcastic.
well, it gets. Here's what happens, right? So I tell her, and I'm expecting her to say, so here's a referral. Here's call this guy. Never call me again, and see you bye. But that's not what happens. I get into it, and she's like, well, tell me more. Tell me more. What have I got to lose at this point, right? So I just tell her the whole thing. I feel the vibrations and I see the lines and swirly things. And then all of a sudden the movie screen opens up and this guy's on there and he's big, husky guy, beard, mustache, black
he's
hair.
back.
And, he says, and I effed up. I made a mistake. You can help her. I cannot. And she's just like, that sounds like my dad.
Stop it right now. Stop it right now.
And I said, babe. I said, babe. I said, wait a minute. Your dad is dead, you told me. And she goes, I know. And now I'm thinking she's crazy. And I'm going, check, please. You're nuts. You're supposed to be the doctor. You think I'm seeing dead people? So I'm ready to run for the hills. And she's like, relax. You're probably a psychic medium and you don't know it. I said, a what? She goes, a medium. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea.
Wow. So she's
and
telling
so
you. I like how this.
She's
I
telling
like
me.
this plot twist.
I like that
I
too.
like this plot twist.
Right?
Yeah.
So she explains what a medium is, what they do, and how many times she's been to them. And then her dad has always come through just the way I'm explaining. And I said,
Oh,
but
my
this
goodness.
guy, like I told you, he was a heavy guy and he had the facial hair and the stuff. And it doesn't look like your dad. I saw the picture, it's on the mantle. I saw it in the living room. And she goes, wait a minute. She goes, that's, how old that picture is? She goes, let me show you what he looked like when he died. And she shows me a picture of the man in the movie screen. And I said, you know that guy? And she goes, yeah, it's my dad, silly. And now I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just completely lost. I have no insanity. I understand. Okay. At least it's a concept I'm aware of and I understand what it is.
Right. But this is a whole new ballgame.
Mediumship, I've never heard the word before
wow.
that day.
Okay.
Right. So, and psychic I've heard, but I don't believe in any of that stuff. And they would have been the butt end of all of my jokes. So I would never have taken either of that seriously until that very day.
The irony is not lost on me right now.
You better believe it. I was the biggest skeptic of all time. And it was me denying what I could do myself.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, right? When it's like, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? when like kids are teasing each other, what do we tell them?
Yeah.
They're telling you about themselves,
Mhm.
right? So if I'm making fun of psychic mediums, I'm making fun of it because I am one, and I'm not saying that, right?
Yeah.
So this is maybe my way of dealing with it up until this point. And she says, and I don't know what I'm going to do now, but of course she has the idea because she's the soulmate. And she says, there's a medium who's coming to our area who's very, very well known. She's only going to be here for 2 weeks. I'll make 2 appointments with her. We'll meet up and you can talk to her privately and tell her what's going on. And then you can figure it out for yourself. And I'm like, okay, this sounds cool. I'll do that.
Yeah.
And we do it. And we get there and I'm like shaking. I'm, here's a guy that's like been in shootouts and OD'd and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh my God,
This is what rattles you, right?
This rattles me, right? Yeah. Bullets flying overhead.
Whatever.
That's like 4th of July. So I go in and I don't even sit down yet. I go in and I say, hi. I said, hi, I'm Ray. She goes, oh, you're that Ray.
So she's already expecting you.
Yeah. Full on expectations. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, tell me what's going on, Ray, have a seat. And I sit down and I said, well, I see people that aren't there. She goes, me too.
The normalization of this is like,
yeah,
I'm just stunned at this moment, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying, this is the first time in my entire life I've explained this to somebody and they get it.
and they're not telling you you're crazy.
They're
They're like,
not
me too.
telling me I'm crazy.
it must have felt like
Right.
such a relief for you.
Right.
I broke.
Wow.
I was on. The more she explained, the more emotional I got, and I was like, "Holy shit, this person understands me!
Wow.
Like they really get it. They really get it." And she even confided in me that when she was young, that her parents thought she was crazy, had her evaluated, had her put in a hospital, the whole 9 yards.
Really? It sucks
Yeah.
that so many intuitive
And-
people go through that.
To
Yeah.
get out, you got to say, "No, I don't see anything. Everything's fine. No, I don't know what you're talking. Everything's great. Yeah, I feel great."
Right.
It could have
Yeah.
went a whole different way with your, now wife or soulmate,
Yeah.
if she wasn't open to that. And it really shows a lot for the times we're in and the changes that are happening. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna, hopefully get better for those who do experience things, and people will not basically have them shut it down and
Yeah.
mold
And
them in a way that
Right.
makes them.
She said that I had seen several mediums and my father comes through, right? So
Mhm.
we that was like right around my birthday of that year. The following year, by the way, that woman was kind enough to take me under her wing and be my mentor for the first year. She wasn't teaching students anymore. That wasn't what she was doing, but she did take
Wow.
me because I was such a disaster, basically.
Okay.
You were her pro bono
And I think
case.
I think she knew I was going to die if I didn't. So, so she takes me under her wing for the first year. And then after that, it's a birthday of the following year. And my wife says, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I said, well, I don't know. What do you want? She's like, you want to go to Aruba? You want to go to an island? You want to go this? You want to go that? And I said, I just want to see trees. I just want to sit in front of a tree. That's it. I just want to be around trees. I don't like people anymore. I like trees. That's it. I want to hug trees. I want to be with trees. I have
Right.
no idea who the hell I am anymore. What have I become? This is what I'm attracted to. I want to sit in the middle of nowhere and I want to hug trees. And that's what we do. And we got a cabin in the woods and there's nothing and nobody around. And we just meditate the whole time that we're there.
That is
And
awesome.
so the time that we're there, though, she takes out an illustration, and it's a illustration, and she shows it to me, and I was like, "That's your dad." And she goes, I know.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, but what you don't know is that's exactly the way I see him when I see him on the movie screen. That's him. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, that's the shirt he's always wearing when I see him, and his hair is exactly like that. That's
Wow.
him. And she goes, well, this was drawn by a medium. And I said, you know, a medium that can draw? Whoa, how cool is that? I wish I could draw. That's the ultimate validation. You draw the person, show it to him. You
get it?
can't go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, who is this guy? I got to meet him. And we go to his website and we pull him up. And right on the front page of his website, it says, we are now accepting applications for a 2-year program, for a mentorship program. And the
Oh.
deadline to apply is February 15th. That's my birthday.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity.
All just lining up to this moment. So I submit an application, and this is a mentorship. This is not like class. So you have to get accepted. And I had to go through first, the application was nothing. Then there's another application, and it's like this thick, and it's all essay questions. You have to answer what happens first, what happens second, how do you know about this, how do you know that, how do you know when it's a psychic premonition, how do you know when you're talking to, and you just on and on and on and on and on. You got to completely convince that you're eligible to be there or you're not getting in. Then there's an interview if you get past those 2 steps. Then you get another application if you get past that step.
Really?
And
Oh
it
my
just goes
gosh.
on and on and on, right? So
That's
yeah, I mean, if you
expensive.
want to be in the class, anybody can sign up, but this is a mentorship. You have 24/7 access, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
amazing. So anyway, I never heard from them, and I was just like, okay, I guess I didn't get it. I'm not in. And then my mind starts to revert back to how much of this stuff that I make up, how much of the stuff that maybe I saw something, maybe I knew something, I don't know. I start doubting myself completely.
Okay.
And as that happens, I said, well, let me just call his assistant and just see, what's going on and whatever, confirm I didn't get it. And she says, oh, no, 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 no. There's hundreds of applications. You don't understand. He's got a lot to go through. And I was like, oh, hundreds of applications. And I'm thinking,
Wow.
okay. And I hung up the phone and I was like, phew. So maybe I did make it. I don't know, but there's hundreds. I'm not going to make it. There's hundreds. All of a sudden, my ego's talking to me, right? It's just shooting me down, telling me I'm not good enough. But here's the thing. I do the math on this. Hundreds of people times thousands of dollars. This is a 2-year program. It's not cheap, right? So you got hundreds of people at thousands of dollars. You do the math. That's a windfall for him.
If he were to accept everybody, right? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But I was the 11th of 11 that made it.
Okay.
Wow. So out of hundreds of applications, he picked
He let them
11 people.
all go.
And so essentially he was letting go of all that potential money because he really wanted to narrow down on the people that were serious. And you were the 11th, which is an angel number out of 11. So 11, 11.
Yep.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed, that his name is Ray, and I can't help but think Ray and light, are one and the same too. So
oh, good point.
I think that's neat.
Good point.
That came up someplace very recently. I forgot where it was, but maybe it'll come back to me.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
So when I saw this man's integrity, like he was the real deal. If you're not, it wasn't that the other people weren't real. It was just that if they couldn't prove it, they weren't able to get in. And that was his thing, is that and I remember one time in class, he was saying to us, he was like, if you don't have integrity, you have nothing, especially in this business. You're asking people to tell them you see dead people. Okay. Put yourself in the regular person's shoes for a moment. Okay. You don't have integrity. You got nothing. And I was like, you're my dad. You're my dad that I never had. I don't care if this is a 2-year program. I'm 6 years in now to this 2-year program. I'm never graduating and I never want to.
Wow.
And I'm considered an alumni and I just keep coming back and coming back.
You're the super senior.
Right. I'm the one that sits in the back and I'm still there and I'm not going anywhere.
That's cool though.
And I thank the universe for him. I thank everybody for him. I mean, he's just been the guiding light that I needed.
That's amazing.
On multiple fronts, right?
Right,
not
right.
just one.
I'm glad the universe linked you guys up and that he, accepted you into that mentorship, and it's become very fruitful for you. That's cool.
Yeah, and the way it all happened is wild and very intricate, and you're like with the lady now who basically tie it all together, it seems like.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. She really was the key to all of that. Yeah. I don't know where this story would have ended up had I not met her on that website. Third one down, go figure.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
It's just it's too coincidental to be a coincidence, right?
Exactly.
It's just not.
It's a great story, and I love how you just went with everything, even though you didn't know what was going on. You still followed it, which I think happens regardless. Like you might lose your way, and you were, choosing to not pay attention to the gifts and the things that were, happening with you. But anyway, you ended up where you needed to be, and I feel like, do you feel like everything happens, for a reason and that it was meant to be that way for you? I mean, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, yes, it had to go that way for me. But I think that I was being guided, right? Because I
Yeah.
would, left to my own devices, who the hell knows what I would have done,
You were
right? Because
definitely being
I was making very bad choices, right? So, there's a moment in time when, this guide is looking over me and I'm not special. I'm not chosen. I'm nothing there's nothing special about, like, I'm just a regular guy. There's nothing about me. I don't even know why somebody would say, I have no idea. But for whatever reason, my guide has always been there, tells me how to get out of situations and brought me to meet her and just about everything that's happened. I have to accredit to him because I have no other explanation for it.
Yeah, it'll be neat when you finally do, crossover. I'm sure there was a serious, like, what do you
Yeah.
call it, alley, like, plan for him to do exactly what he
Mhm.
was doing because of the situation that you were born into, which you probably chose. That's the way I see things. Anyway, it's like we do kind of agree. That's what I'm learning from near death experiencers anyway. And I feel like that's the way it is. But can you tell us more about your book and the inspiration behind it? And I'm speaking about your newest book, but you can speak on both books.
Yeah.
But
So the first book is The Atheist and The Afterlife, and it explains pretty much, it goes into the story that I gave you, just more details about various things. And it's a
Sure.
story of how I went from childhood and being an atheist to being a believer. And then the second book kind of picks up when I meet my second mentor, and he teaches us so many things, not just mediumship. And I don't practice mediumship anymore, and I chose not to because when I was writing the second book and I was nearing wrapping it up, I had a massive spiritual awakening. I had been working on myself now. It was like 4 or 5 years going into retraining, getting rid of my ego, getting rid of my anger. That was a big thing for me. My emotions would always default back to anger. Regardless, if I was anxious, I was angry. If I was sad, I was angry. It would always go to anger because that's what I knew. So
Okay.
I had this huge just moment where I didn't have to tell myself not to get angry. It just didn't happen. And and it was a moment that, I was driving and I had an expensive car and I thought that was a big deal at the time to have an expensive car because my father had one. And I thought I was supposed to have one. So I did. And I drove it and it was snowing and I drove it into a deer. And the old Ray, I don't know what the hell I would have done, gotten out, yelled, screamed, took a bat out of the trunk. I don't know, but nothing happened. I didn't flinch. I was just caring about the deer. And now I really don't know who I am. I'm going from tree hugging to deer hugging. I don't know what I am anymore, but I
Yeah.
can't get angry. I can't get angry. I don't care about the car. And I get out of the car and I pick up the deer and the deer gets up. And we have this moment. Like,
Wow.
she looks at me, I look at her, and she walks away.
Stop it. I was just gonna say, I hope she walked away.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I thought this thing was going to be mangled. It just,
wow,
and not at all.
that
Oh.
almost seems spiritual, like some sort of spiritual thing that happened.
Like I try to replay it in my mind because it was so surreal and that like it's like it was like magic. She got up and we were
Wow.
making eye contact.
Right, right,
I've
right.
never been that close to a deer. You can't get that close to a deer. Well, if it's alive, you can anyway.
Deers
And
are very spiritual.
Mhm.
they really have instincts like
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And so I checked myself and I'm okay physically.
Okay.
It's physically. And then I look at the car and the car's trash
Is it? Oh, wow.
and I don't care. Like I literally do not care. So I pull the car to the side of the road, right? And the deer's gone and now it's just me in the car and I can't turn back the time, right? There's nothing I can do. So if I get upset, sad, angry, or feel any negative emotion whatsoever, I'm only hurting me because
Right.
nothing about this situation is something that I can change.
Right.
So why not just be happy and pretend like I meant for it to happen, and there we go on with our lives. And I started to dial my wife, and I'm like, well, we didn't live together at that time. We weren't married yet, and I was driving to my house from her house, and it was a snowstorm. That's what happened.
Okay.
And I'm dialing her number and I'm like, well, what am I calling her for? I'm going to dump my accident onto her and then she's going to get upset. That doesn't make any sense. It might make me feel better, but it's not going to do anything for her. So I hung up the phone and I drove the car. It was drivable. I had to drive very slow and I got it to the body shop and I just left it there. I Ubered home, went to sleep, didn't lose any sleep at all.
Wow.
I don't even recognize myself, but I wake up feeling, my kid's like, somebody stole your car. Somebody stole your car. And I'm like, no, relax. I had an accident. I had an accident. You had an accident. You didn't call me. You didn't tell me. My kids are 20, like,
Yeah.
what the F, man? Why did you I would have came and got you. And I said, relax. I didn't want you to react like that because I don't care. He's like, what do you mean you don't care? What happened to the car? I says, it's mangled. It's a mess. Where's my dad? And
And who are you? Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Who are you? And what'd you do with my dad? Right?
It seems like emotional intelligence really like clicked for you at some point.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't. What's the word? So what? I'm going to take an Uber to work? Like what? That's another car picks me up and carries me to the work.
Right.
It's the way I see things today is completely, my entire perception of everything has changed.
I totally can relate to that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The things that we get upset about are so ridiculous. And granted, there's tragedies and things like that take a long time to work out.
Sure.
But these little things like road rage and you didn't get the right thing you ordered or something that's just so ridiculous to me. Like I can't even wrap my head around those things anymore. And even losing the car. So the insurance company buys me a new one. So what? You know what I mean? Like just, and that's the way I approach life now. And I don't let anything bother me. I don't let anybody else's stuff bring me out of my state of flow because I don't care enough about it. So it's just a different way of being. And this is what I try to teach in my coaching practice today is how to adopt detachment, how to understand surrender, how to understand these techniques. They don't make you less powerful. They make you more powerful. When you don't care, you can't be bothered. It can't happen. So yeah, there's still going to be big things. Like I said, there's going to be big things. There's going to be grief. There's going to be loss and things of that nature. And yeah, they are going to require attention to get over. But the more you understand that death isn't really the end and there's more to it, the less it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And the more accepting you can be to the world around you. And that's the second book. So the second book is really about how can you, or I don't mean you personally, but I mean, people can read a book and go do exactly what I did. Every training step that I did is in there, how I did it and what I learned as I went along. And you'll get to the end of it. I had to go back and rewrite the book after that happened.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like a path. And it still has a lot of stories that are crazy too, but for the most part, that's what it is. And that's what I've chosen now. And I've even told my mentor, I was like, maybe someday I'll return to mediumship, but right now it's too taxing for me. I just want to relax and just kind of enjoy this because the first half of my life was chaos.
Understood.
And it took me 50 years to get here. Now I'm 56 and I'm like, I want to relax for a little while. I want to enjoy this good feeling that I have.
Yeah.
Understood.
I feel like I could learn a lot from you, to be honest.
Thank you.
Can you tell
thank you for your question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about your coaching and your website? Just drop your links and tell them where they can find you and what kind of services that you offer. Is this way in case they feel inclined to work with you, they know where to get you.
Yeah. RayCatania.com is the web address. And you can go there and find out more about me, my books, my coaching platform. I have other things coming out. We're really expanding this website into something that's going to be really big. So I'm excited about it. And it's coming to fruition. And I'm so happy and grateful and honored. And I appreciate you allowing me to say that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we do this. We just want to give people a platform to share with our audience their thoughts. I love hearing people's spiritual journeys because it shows such change and growth and integration. For me, I just really appreciate the process. So thank you for being willing to share yours with us. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
And like you, also was an atheist. I started out religious, grew up Baptist and just Christian, and then I became an atheist. And I would say probably in 2017, I started exploring UAP and UFOs, and that kind of led me to take a hard look at this phenomena that's been going on with a viewpoint from science, right? And that actually led me to spirituality. Yeah, it really did.
Well, I guess because it started to make you think outside the box, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it made you look at things differently.
Right.
Mhm.
And then that carried over into other things.
Yep. Carried over into meditation, and then learning about meditation and learning about spirituality. And I just feel like it's opened up a completely different avenue for me that I never thought I would have been on, you know.
That's fantastic.
Thank you for sharing that. That's cute. And you're a meditation teacher too, right? So
I
that's,
was just going to say, listen, I'm a huge fan of Jesus. First of all, I love Jesus, and find a statue of Jesus meditating. It took me a year to find one, but I finally found. I wish I could show you.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen that.
That's
Yes,
okay.
I have him meditating, and I was like, oh my God.
You're going to have to send me a picture so I can edit
I
it
will.
in.
I'll send you a
Okay.
picture.
Yeah, we'll throw it in.
I promise.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen anything
That is my
like
meditating
that.
Jesus.
I love that.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
That is great. I want to take a screenshot. Let me
That is
see.
very cool. I think if I
I'm-
grew
I
up
want
seeing
do
statues
that.
like that, I would have been meditating a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
Me too.
There's actually a story in the second book after I bought that, and I also had a statue of Buddha. And what happened is they started to spin just very, very slowly, like a clock. They would turn just a little bit. And I debated whether or not to put the story in the book because it's even so crazy for me
Okay.
to accept. Okay. But I would come home and it was just moved a tiny little bit, tiny little bit, tiny little
Wow.
bit. And finally, like after 6 months, it made a full revolution. You know?
Wow.
And then I would reset it and then check because I felt like every time I did something really good, Buddha would move just a little bit, click, right? And I would come back. And I remember one time I did something that was really cool. And I came back to see if Buddha moved and he was straight. And I was thinking to myself, what did I do wrong? And I hear the vacuum on the other side. And it was the cleaning lady. And she never cleans my office ever. And I'm, Lucy, did you go in my office? She goes, yeah, didn't I do a good job? And I was like, yeah, you're the best. Thank you. You know, I don't want to, I can't tell her about the spinning Buddha.
The spinning Buddha.
So I
Love
was like, yes, thank you. Thank you. I just want to let you know how much we appreciate you. But I was looking forward to see, like I was actually measuring my success.
Based off the spins,
based
right?
off the spin. And she came in and dusted him off and put him back the way he was supposed to be.
Reset.
And I was like, it's a pretty funny story. That's in the book too.
Can you ask your famous question?
Yeah. So I have a question that I like to ask of all of our guests. What is your greatest hope for the future of humanity?
That we all realize a couple of things. One is that you are the creator of your life. You are co-creator of everything. You are one with the creator, not separate than, not less than, not more than, but equal to God, the universe, whatever term you wish to use. You are one with them. And as such, you can create your own life. And you can create things for other people around you. And some people every now and then will create something for all of humanity. But start in your own backyard and help the next person and help the next person and then see how far you can go. And remember, if we're all one, then by harming your fellow man or woman, you are harming yourself.
Yeah.
And you really got to get that. We got to understand that sooner rather than later.
Beautiful
That
answer.
was beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Jinx
for that.
Leslie. Wow, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate your time today, Ray.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. If you had any other last words or pieces of advice for our audience, now's the time.
I love you guys.
Oh,
thank you.
we love you
Thank
too.
you for watching. I really like you guys. And thank you. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And for our audience that's still sticking around, please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. Much love.
Much love.
Peace and namaste.
The evolution of life on Earth seems to have been profoundly altered by collisions with such bodies.
Asteroids.